You take personal pride in your performance.
There's not fucking loads of goals in this game.
You put the fucking pressure on, you lot. How's that 1 minute? We've had a penalty.
Fucking bully, dude.
Get in there!
I suffered an injury when I was playing at about 28 years old, maybe 29, so a few years ago now. And I wasn't ready to give up football. I still loved the game, and I wanted to stay playing. And my manager at the time, he offered me to come in and be his assistant. It was at Kent County level, so a little bit of a lower level than this. And I just began there, so staying involved in non-league football and became kind of an assistant manager / coach, albeit that's for the role I did at the time. I didn't really have any experience, so I was probably doing a little bit of a lesser role than that. So I was playing for a side called Chipstead in the Kent County, and a good friend of mine called Lee Roots was the manager, and he's now manager of Holmesdale in the league above FC Olmsted. And it was with Lee. He brought me into his management team, and I coached with him. The FC Olmsted role was, it was, I'd like to say by chance, but not really. I interviewed for it. There was an interview process. They advertised on their Twitter that they were looking for a new manager. I think Ennio Ganella was the manager before I joined. Ennio left at the end of during the COVID era, and that COVID era was a real hard one, right? Because there was a lot of managers that, didn't quite know where they were. 2 years is a long time in football. Everyone gets older, so everyone had their own reasons, and opportunities and openings came up throughout COVID. Obviously, I'm fairly young in regards to football management, albeit I'm not sure I can say that for much longer, as I am kicking on myself now. So there was an interview process. I interviewed a couple of times with Fabio and with Paul, who is part of the committee here. And they offered me the job. It was a fairly routine process, to be honest with you. It wasn't that an aggressive interview process. It was a couple of chats, and then I believe there was a few people I was up against, but I was lucky to get the role.
Pete's pretty decent. He puts a lot of time, a lot of effort in. It's not an easy job at this level. Time, money, and effort. He's done a pretty good job, to be fair. I asked him I gave him the goal, setting the goal to be in and around the playoff spots, and up to the last few weeks we just come up short. But there's been some big sides in this division this year, and he's given it a real good go.
Fabio's a really good guy, and it's one of those things, I find it really difficult to knock volunteers. I find it really difficult to say anything negative about them. Fabio doesn't get anything out of running FC Olmsted. It's not a paid role. I'm sure it costs him money. So I think when you bracket that kind of information, I think you can only be respectful about what he does and the relationship that him and I have. And of course, we're all here for the same reason. We want to win games, and we want the club to progress, and we want to do well. So there's obviously a natural conflict when the first team isn't doing as well. I take that on, and Fabio, I'm sure, will maybe point the finger at me as the first team manager. But all in all, I think the relationship between Fabio and I is really, really good. We talk a lot. Non-league football is a very, very busy. It's a very busy pastime, and Fabio and I must talk 3-4 times a week. You need good relationships. You need people around you. I'd say it's probably the main bit of doing non-league and managing in non-league. The fact is that non-league only works when you enjoy it. So especially from a management side and a coaching side, you have to come here and enjoy it, and you go through really difficult times. When you lose games, it affects you and things like that, and it affects people. But if you've got a really good group of people around you, almost like a little support network with your management team, and we all support each other, that is so important. You can't do it without it. So, management team, we've had, since the beginning of Elmstead, we've had Dean Rose, and Dean's actually been with me at every step of my management. He's been with me through every side I've been at. Dean he looks after the goalkeepers, and he stands alongside me in regards to management. Alex White and Ryan Watts, they look after players, and they stand alongside me in regards to management as well. All have as much input to team selection, to player recruitment as they want to have. And we've got a new guy in with us as well called Paul Cook. So Paul's come along from Kent County, does a great job, does a bit of analysis for the side, and he's learning the ropes, to be honest with you. Paul is first role into football, really. Match day is an exciting time, right? We do this because we love football, so everyone wants to play matches and play games and have points on the line. I think I have every kind of emotion going into match day. Match day is a strange one. I think when you're on a good run of form, you go through emotions like real excitement, really want to get out there. You know you're playing well. You'd really fancy yourself to go and beat someone on that given day. If you run into a patchy run of form and you've got a tough run, you might be a little bit nervous. I think you go through every single emotion, but I think it's really important to convey that we choose to be here. We choose to do this. We're volunteers, right? We can all stop whenever we want. Everyone's allowed to manage decisions in their own life. So we love match day. So we've gone through. Got the waters, got the sweet, do all of that stuff. That's part of it, and then. Usually I've got the kit. Usually I do the kit the night before a game. So I don't have the kit today. Fabio's got it. He's bringing it down for me. But usually I'll have the kit and I'll do the kit the night before the game at home. It'll all be hung up. It'll all be ready. And I'll get here. I'll hang it up. I'll get everything on the wall. We'll set up the warm up. We'll get everyone meets an hour and a half before the game. So players meet an hour and a half before the game. Management should be here probably half an hour before players is what I like. I'm probably here a little bit earlier than that. Sutton have been kind enough to give me keys to the venue so I can sort of turn up at whatever time I like, which is usually stupidly early. Players start arriving, they'll go and sit down in the bar area, and we call them into the changing room at about 5 to 2. So the laughing and the joking and things like that kind of stops to a degree, not to add too much pressure to players, but from that point onwards you have your chats, you send them out to warm up, the coaching staff do what they do, the players come back in, last minute chats, they'll read the set piece stuff and things like that.
Let's go, we know what
Chaps,
we're doing.
listen up, please. Listen up. Tonight has to fucking mean something, okay? There's an opportunity. It's very rare you get a group like this together that can honestly go on and do something. You've only got to look at the fucking bench to know how strong this group is. Tonight will be a difficult fucking game. But if you start nice and fast, be fucking aggressive in your press, and go and get fucking after them from the start, things will go your way. We're starting to roll now, chaps. We're 3 unbeaten. I expect to be 4 when we come in here at 90 minutes. You lot go and fucking do it. Do it for each other. Do it for the fucking management team, and do it for the fucking club. Come on, go and do it.
Nice and fucking aggressive, let's go. Nice and fucking aggressive.
And then we'll go and try and win a game of football.
Yes! Have that! Get in there!
Told you it takes a free kick. Ali.
Oi, well done. Oi, it's a great start.
I get more satisfaction winning as a manager than I did as a player. And I think only until you get involved in management will people understand what that means. But I'm sure fellow managers maybe some agree, maybe some disagree, but I'm sure they'll all understand that it's a different feeling to winning as a player. I think the atmosphere when we win is great, right? All players are happy, even boys that maybe didn't get so many minutes from the squad that I've got this year. They're happy for the squad, and it's a real collegiate effort. So atmosphere-wise, I think it's brilliant when you win.
Chaps, listen up. Listen up, please. Listen, it was never ever going to be pretty tonight. It's great. It's a great 1-0 win. You come to Ladywell on a fucking Wednesday night. It's always going to be fucking hard. And you had to dig in there. You showed everything tonight. You played really well for the first sort of 30 minutes. Then we dug in for a bit. We played really well for 15, 20 minutes in the second half. And then you dug in again. We used the whole squad. We utilised it. We managed to rotate. Everything that we wanted tonight has worked out perfectly. You've now got a bit of time off, and the squad needs it because we've had so many games in a number of weeks. You've got a bit of time off, and we're back in at Greenways at home next Wednesday.
A winning mentality comes from winning games of football. So if you win games of football and you win multiple games of football on the bounce, then players start to understand what it feels like to win, understand what they have to do in the 85th minute of a football match to make sure you win a game of football. I think it's as easy to keep as it is to lose. I think you can lose a winning mentality overnight with a mistake, with a lapse in concentration, with bad preparation, with being late to a football match, with not communicating to your teammates or your management. I think it's easy to lose. I think as an addition to that, I think in non-league, I think there's so much churn with players, right? So there's a lot of player change, right? You're very, very lucky if you've got 3 changing rooms on the bounce that's the same 16. So you have to factor that into your algorithm as well, that there's going to be different changing rooms. So maybe a couple of players in today's changing room might not have won last week, so they might not have encountered that mentality of what we did to win last week. So I think it's a bit of a tough one in non-league football. I'm sure for a Man City and an Arsenal who win a lot of games, they have the same 16 going out every single week. That will be inbred in their bones. Players are really, really difficult, but this is part of the role, right? So every single person as individual is their own person. No player is the same as another player. So you do have to manage it slightly differently with each and every player. Players are a constant challenge, right? Because they have expectations, and I understand their expectations. They all want to play. They all want to get minutes. It's never ever easy when they're on the bench or where they're not in the squad, and it's never easy when a player gets 10 minutes or 5 minutes in a game, but it's at the level where that can happen. Motivation is something in non-league, I believe, at step 6, 5, 4 is probably something that's really important as a coaching staff with what you do with groups of players. The reality is that we get an hour and a half a week with our squad, right? So it's Tuesday night at Bishop Justice in Bromley where we train, and we get an hour and a half. So can we, number one, can we do what a Man City do and build patterns of play and do all of that? Absolutely not, right? I'm a realist. Number two, I couldn't coach like that if I wanted to, right? Like, I don't have the qualifications, the experience, so I'm not sitting here pretending to be Pep Guardiola or Jose Mourinho. I'm not. But what I can do is I can organise, I can galvanise, I can motivate, I can be structured, I can discipline when need be, I can make decisions, make brave decisions, and I can take responsibility. And I think all of those things are so important in regards to what we do on a match day.
It is about fucking accountability today. It has to be. Going forward from Antonio, Rory and the front three, we're not too worried. We know you've got the fucking hunger, you've got to go and work, but lately, some of our back players have been letting us down a little bit. Today, I expect you to be fucking aggressive. Do the right things at the right fucking time. Go and fucking lead that defence for me today. Lewis Alliston, go and lead it with fucking being aggressive, getting into them, okay? They'll be fairly decent up there, but they will not be as good as you. I expect to fucking hear you today. If you want to step up and play the fucking level that you want to, don't go within yourself out there today. When you come for the ball, I want to hear you. If I don't, Connor will play the last fucking game. Don't worry about that. Apart from that today, chaps, go and fucking enjoy it, okay? We are a great collective, but we're a great collective when you do the right things. You're fucking disciplined. You have energy. Do all of those things, and you're a better side than them. You really are. We can't set you up any fucking better. Go and make sure that you finish this season right and you finish it correct. Come on, go and do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
What's he done?
It really depends on the type of loss that you've encountered and what the ramifications of that loss in regards to your season. So, you know, we're at the business end of the season where points are so precious. So losing points right now hurts. Of course it does, and it sort of stays with you. But it really depends. I think, you know, if you're not hurting after you lose points, then you're in the wrong game. And yeah, losing is difficult. But look, there's a saying that every manager uses, a bit cliche. It's don't get too high with your wins, don't get too low with your losses, and you should come out somewhere all right. I think that saying is very accurate, but I think in reality, like, if you're not hurting after you lose a game of football, then it's questionable.
Well done.
I think on a personal level, yeah, it definitely does affect me. Like, it really does, and it's
Cheers, mate.
yeah, no one likes losing. Everyone in football is a winner. Management, coaches, players, like, everyone around it is a winner. They want to win. We're here because we love the feeling of winning.
First and foremost, chaps, we need to look at ourselves. I say we, I'm using the royal we, management team, squad, players. It's not good enough today, chaps. That isn't good enough. I don't think it's good enough by any standard. And look, you have to listen to that, and you know this is a team that are also playing for nothing in the league table, but they can manage to motivate themselves to want to go and win a game of football. And it feels like, honestly, that perhaps that 6, 7, 8 boys perhaps have just given up for the season, and that's what it feels like from where I'm sitting.
I think the better question is, how does it affect other people around me? So I think when I lose, I think probably my wife takes the brunt of the effects that it happens. I genuinely believe that. I think I'm probably a worse version of myself for a day or two, and I think her being around me probably affects her. So I feel sorry for her, and actually the bit of the season where there is no football, so that bit of mid-April to June, I make maximum effort to make sure that, you know, I'm doing lots of stuff with her and sort of like lots of nice stuff, because I know that football affects things outside of football.
I've been quite surprised over recent years of the level of managers that have wanted to come in and do the job, because I've done it myself and it's not an easy job. It's quite time consuming, it takes you away, you're always on the phone.
I got into coaching for probably two main reasons. I think the first reason was I wasn't ready to give up non-league football. I wasn't ready to give up what I love to do on a Saturday and all of that kind of stuff. I'm so used to, you know, my life from 16 really, when I first started playing men's football, was training on a Tuesday, playing on a Saturday, having a night out on a Saturday night, and then going again the following week. And maybe it just became habit, and you know, I fell in love with that kind of lifestyle. And I suppose when I got injured at 28, 29, I wasn't ready to give that up, so I wanted to stay in and around it, albeit in a different capacity. The other piece is why I wanted to get into coaching, is I felt like I could give something back to the game and give something back to young players who maybe weren't as fortunate as me, or maybe they are as or whatever it was, but I felt like I could give something back in regards to, you know, setting up an environment in a correct way and being able to impact young people's lives in a positive way. Something that I've taken quite seriously, to be honest with you, since I started it. And the football stuff is obviously really important to me, and we all love winning, but actually it's more than that. I get as much enjoyment when I see some of my players that come to me that are struggling to go and get a job and struggling for a lot of different things, and then I can maybe have a little bit of an influence, whether it be writing a couple of CVs, which I've done for players, helping them out in interviews, trying to get them little contacts in the city and things like that. I get as much enjoyment of that bit, seeing a player develop in their own personal life, as I do in actual games of football. I'd like to sit here and tell you I'm going to coach up through the levels and manage up through the levels. That can happen, and that will happen, but it will only happen if you perform at the level you're at. I think I'd love to go and manage in the league higher, and then the league above that, and keep doing it and keep going. I think you have to worry about the here and now, and you know, am I doing well enough at this club currently right now to get an opportunity in the league above? Probably not. I think that's the truth. So it's I'd like to think I can continue to push on and, you know, and strive for bigger and better challenges and more challenging leagues, but you know, we have to concentrate on the league we're in now. I think it's gone really, really well. I think we've had some really, really good times. I think we've played great football for, I'm going to go as high as 85% of the season. I think we're one of the better footballing sides in the league. We beat Larkfield, one of the top dogs at their place, earlier on, 3-0. We beat Snodland recently, who're just about to win the league. We beat them 5-1. So we've had some unbelievable moments, and football's great, right? Because it gives you great moments, and there's opportunities to build great moments. We had a really good Christmas night out with the squad. Something that obviously isn't an obvious thing in regards to why that would be important, but that stuff is important because you're building relationships in non-league football, and you're doing things like that. So yeah, we've had so many good moments, and I think we've had a really good season. I've learned that I'm not always right. I think any manager that would sit in front of your camera right now at step 6, step 5, step 4 and say to you that they get 100% of their decisions correct, I think is a liar. I'm not always right. I try and manage people and decisions and communicate to people as best that I can, but there are times where we get that wrong, and where unfortunately you might give a bad account of yourself as a person to a player or a group of players. I'm still learning how to get better at that part of it, and I don't think you will ever be the finished article in that. I don't think you can. I don't think you can, because as we discussed earlier, there's a lot of boys that you're trying to keep happy, and it's an impossible task. So have I got better at that bit than I was a couple of years ago? Yes. Like, am I still going to struggle with that next season? Absolutely.